Anders Leines, Oslo, Norway.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, sort of professionally and personally, just a kind of brief description, please?
I'm Anders Leines. I'm 55 years of age. I live in Oslo, Norway, with my family, 2 children, 16, Leo 16 and Isabel 18. And I was diagnosed 8 years ago with Parkinson's disease, and I've continued working at Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, where I work as a photographer and editor and bit this and that. So,
can you tell me a little bit about your diagnosis with Parkinson's, please?
It started a couple of years before diagnosis, and I was always working hard, and was like a Duracell.
Duracell bunny.
I didn't take breaks. I was very committed to work, and all of a sudden the energy sort of left me. I was filming one night, and I almost fainted, and then I was sick a couple of days, and I don't know, it didn't bounce back really, and it was like the cells in my body were uptight. Feeling and fatigue sort of feeling, and then I was on sick leave for a while, and then I went back to work, and this and that, and did several tests, and I was the doctor said I should get a hobby and think more positively and be so uptight about being so committed to everything, because I always been the kind of person who cannot do anything sloppy, and
perfectionist.
Very self-critical type of person. Always never really happy with the things I did, but anyway, my colleague sent me to because I work in a health program on Norwegian television, or I did, called Pulse, and we had a doctor connected with the show, and they sent me to him, and from there on it went further on to the neurologist, and it was Parkinson's.
I always find it really strange, the kind of symptoms that people show that mean that they get put through to that process. It can be, some people have, like you said, almost sort of extreme fatigue. Some people have a little bit of a tremor. Some people have a little bit of stiffness creeping in. It's really interesting how it shows in every person differently at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then how it
goes. I used to think passing, and I used to be proud, I used to feel extremely lucky and healthy that I wasn't on sick leave for 10 years from work. 10 years I wasn't away one day, and I've always been used to things sorting itself out, but my wife has a different background with the different experiences, that things don't always work out in a positive way, and she saw that my right arm wasn't swinging as it usually does, and she was very worried. Whilst I don't know, I thought it would pass, but so, but I have nothing to complain about when it comes to the way I was treated, and my general practitioner has apologized, and that she didn't see the picture, but I have nothing to complain about, really.
I think it's difficult for clinicians to diagnose it because it shows itself in so many different ways and at so many different ages. I mean, especially when people are extraordinarily young, you can understand why it doesn't get picked up so often. Because you just wouldn't think Parkinson's, would you? You know, there's kind of traditional symptoms that you have with Parkinson's that you would maybe recognise, and some that are maybe less recognisable, and not everyone could be an expert on Parkinson's, I guess.
Well, that's where we're trying to do something, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We're trying to do everything. We're trying to fix it.
It's possible to be young. And so much has happened since it's been in different ways. The start of a new chapter in my life where I was able to use my skills in something that means something to me.
So do you still work as a cameraman? Because I know you're still doing photography, but do you just still do cameraman work as well, or?
I'm extremely lucky, and in that this is Norway, and I don't know, we just seem to have a fix for many things when it financially. So I work full time, but I don't have to deliver more than 40%. Understand?
That sounds good. That sounds like they look after you well in Norway.
By the welfare system. And this was, if I can mention, Norwegian doctor Audun Misha, who is was a general practitioner, but so much more, and he recommended I don't stop working, because it means a lot to me, but avoid stress. And he wrote my employer, and it was all taken very seriously by my employer, which is a big employer, and I'm so happy. I'm a freelancer when this happened, and many of my friends have tried the same to get the same solution as I, and they haven't succeeded because their employer doesn't have the capacity or willingness or resources.
Your experience can vary so much over depending on how your employer deals with it, what their process is, whether they've dealt with something like it before. I think you can have a horrible experience or a really positive one like you've had. It sounds like they've been really supportive.
So I'm on a benefit program, you could say, but I'm paid. Everything is, for me, it feels like before I get paid from my employer, they get 60% refunded from the welfare. And I just avoid stress. And then
doesn't work, does it?
It's hard to measure. Do I contribute 40% or do I contribute 60%? Or it's not so easy. But everyone's contributing to making this possible for me. So recently I've done more stills photography. So I do things in a different way and at a slower pace.
Yeah. Sounds like you've had a kind of a good experience, and that it's good that you're able to still do what you love, because I think that's one of the biggest things for people with Parkinson's is the fact that you just suddenly, you're lumped with this condition that is horrible, but then also there's certain things that you can't do anymore that make you who you are, and it kind of can be quite sort of difficult from that element as well, I think. But your stills photography is really beautiful, and you've done the This Is Parkinson's sort of exhibition, so the project. Can you tell me a little bit about that, please? What kind of brought that about? And
it was a feeling that I know I had Parkinson's disease 10 terrible disease was the first description I read when I started Googling, and a dull disease and an old man's disease. Just not a very cool disease.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Stupid, but with that being, and then I had the impression that, or I have friends with HIV who have a good life now because of good medication, triple vaccine, and the gay community in those days when the HIV epidemic was really big in our part of the world, they seemed to mobilize, made themselves seen and heard, and of course, the community is a colorful community. It's known with their parades and everything, yeah. But I just felt that the Parkinson community could also do something to be seen and heard, and that's what then the idea. I took some photos of people with Parkinson's and tested, and well, it all ended up with This Is Parkinson's, the photo project, and I think it has made some difference.
I think it has. I mean, it kind of basically challenges the traditional image of people that have Parkinson's. None of the people on that image, or in those images, you would assume have Parkinson's just to look at them, or probably even to meet them, because they're not traditional Parkinson's age. They're not sort of the traditional demographic, and I think it's really interesting what you've done to kind of to highlight that. And also, they're really striking. When I saw them at the Parkinson's Congress, the fact that they're like, you know, full size. They were kind of full size on a big sort of banner, all stood together. It's very defiant and very sort of positive as an image.
And with this disease that makes us our voices softer and our self-image smaller, I think we need to boost our self-confidence and grow bigger and take up more space and just make more noise and so what do we do now? I think the exhibition has more or less run its course. Even though I was invited to the Faroe Islands.
Oh, really?
No exhibition. That was very nice.
That's cool.
I don't know how many Parkinson's.
Probably like one person on the Faroe Islands.
Really more than one, because I talking to one, but I'm sort of surprised that not others have picked up on doing something similar. Not that it should be exactly the same thing, but show people with Parkinson's with attitude and make something similar in each country that has the resources. And I think the Parkinson's societies around in various countries have a job to do there.
It's a really good point. It's strange that it hasn't been picked up by anyone else, because it would be, you know, not saying it would be easy, but you know, you've created the kind of the wave, you've created the format, and then, you know, other people could follow it.
Yeah. Gather a bunch of people with Parkinson's, take straight photos that where they don't look, you know, like they're excusing their existence.
Exactly. The photos are very sort of like determined, I think.
And with some text, and you can gain attention. And it was very. You know, Parkinson Net is now being tested in Norway. They're slowly incorporating Bastian Blum's system for Parkinson's treatment and communication with Parkinson's patients and all that. And the Norwegian Parkinson Society has said very clearly that those photos made a difference in convincing the authorities in Norway to listen to them and to go for this, and that just proves that images are important.
Images are very important, especially when you Google Parkinson's and what comes up is this kind of horrible illustration of someone all sort of bent over, which is kind of similar to how I am now, actually, with my neck. But it's an older person, and it's sort of like it's not a very positive image.
Yeah.
To be dealt when you first get diagnosed and you Google it. It's not the first image you want, really, is it? To be honest, you can't relate to it.
Yeah. Who would want? It's a good thing. There are neurologists and scientists who want to work with this disease, but I think we can attract more.
Yeah.
Attract more bright brains into.
Yeah, exactly.
Research, for example, and clinical work.
Yeah.
By showing a different group of patients.
Yeah, definitely, because I think we're quite, we're a bit different in the sense that we kind of expect different things from our medication, we expect different things from our lives probably than older people. We're maybe expecting them to do more and to give us the life that we had before if we can have it, and I think that provides a different challenge to maybe older people who perhaps don't have, I'm not saying everyone, but perhaps don't have that mentality so much or that expectation.
Mm-hmm. So I think more resources should go into research, of course, but I sometimes feel more resources should go into awareness work.
Yeah.
Because that when you raise awareness, then perhaps the money will follow.
Yeah, that's true. If it's seen as important and cool.
In the public mind, and the more attention, the better.
Yeah, definitely. I totally
agree. It is always a fight between the various conditions, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. For money.
We have to represent our group of fellow patients.
We're cool. I think we should be given we should be given everything. We're the coolest. So, what advice would you give to someone who's just been newly diagnosed? If you kind of could, give them any sort of advice that you've learnt over your 8 years, is there anything that stands out?
I do believe those who say that Parkinson's isn't one disease, but that each person is different, and that it's what do you call it? It contains a lot of different variations. So you shouldn't listen to general advice only, but try to see what works for you and experiment.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
But I experimented a lot, and on the other hand, you get kind of tired of.
Yeah, trying everything. It takes a long time.
Maybe an advice which I've been horrible at is to be more systematic. If you try remedies or treatments that are off the normal track, then do it properly so you learn something. Don't jump from this to that. But I think it's important to be aware that everyone's different, and that gives hope, of course. Mm-hmm. And then exercise is a good thing for every person. I'm getting more stiff in my arms recently, and I think don't be on the mobile all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So much is I spent so much time on this thing here, and those little movements.
Yeah.
They strain your system, and it's better to go shuffle gravel or do something big movements than those kind of little movements.
That's a very good tip. Thank you.
And also be part of the join the Parkinson community globally.
I would agree with that one as well.
Because it gives. Well, someone said that Parkinson's is a disease that it's true, that takes away, eats away on various things in life, and you have to add something to balance up for that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And friends is something. Maybe you didn't exercise before. Start doing that. You engage in Parkinson work.
Mm-hmm.
That adds something to your life, and you become more appreciative of the things that are actually working in your life. That's adding something, and I think that's a good way of thinking at it.
That was a great way of thinking of it. I like that.